what the Housing Secretary calls the largest ever government investment in building safety. Robert Jenrick has announced an extra £3.5 billion to help pay for the removal of flammable cladding from high-rise residential buildings in England. Residents in lower-rise blocks will be offered loans. Many thousands of flat owners have been left in unsafe, unsellable homes, facing huge bills for fire safety improvements after the Grenfell Tower fire 3.5 years ago. Flames at the block in West London spread via combustible cladding, killing 72 people. Robert Jenrick described the plan he was announcing as an unprecedented intervention.
We've all been moved by the stories we've heard and the people that we've met, homeowners, placed in difficult, sometimes impossible situations through no fault of their own. I appreciate the frustration, the worry, and at times the despair that they feel. I share their anger at the errors, the omissions, the false promises, and even the outright dishonesty that came before us.
Leaseholders in residential high-rises 18 metres or above won't pay for cladding remediation works, but those in blocks between 4 and 6 stories will be able to access loans.
Under a long-term low-interest scheme, no leaseholder will ever pay more than £50 a month towards the removal of unsafe cladding, many far less.
But he said taxpayers, many of whom could only dream of owning their own home, couldn't be expected to pay the whole bill. So there'll be a levy on developers seeking to build some high-rise buildings and, from next year, a new tax on the property development sector.
This will raise at least £2 billion over a decade to help pay for cladding remediation costs. The tax will ensure the largest property developers make a fair contribution to the remediation programme in relation to the money they make from residential property, reflecting the benefit that they will derive from restoring confidence to the UK housing market.
Labour said the announcement was too late for too many.
Government ministers have now promised 17 times that leaseholders will not bear the cost of fixing a problem they didn't cause. Many will be listening to the Housing Secretary's remarks today, and the government has betrayed their promise that leaseholders wouldn't pay for the building safety crisis. As I said, 3.5 years on from Grenfell, hundreds of thousands can't sleep at night because their homes are unsafe. The government has chosen today to pile financial misery on them. This is an injustice.
But the plan got a warmer response from the MP whose constituency includes Grenfell Tower.
I have been calling for a substantial and comprehensive package for cladding remediation, so I warmly welcome this announcement, which very importantly allows funds to be deployed very quickly and does not require task forces or legislation.
Others warned the problems go beyond cladding.
Profitability should not come before safety. Will my right honourable friend look into the issues that I hear about regularly of new build properties not being built to high enough standards, leaving homeowners spending months chasing developers to come back and fix problems with their homes?
In recent years, some of our developers, and some of our most prominent ones too, have built homes which are to a poor standard. They have admitted it in some cases. And we need to make sure that that's corrected so that the quality of homes in this country is high and that members of the public can have confidence making that life-changing investment.
My constituents won't be reassured by what they've heard. Loans for leaseholders still ain't off the table. He's avoided talking about non-cladding costs, and there's still no guarantee my constituents won't be left with large associated bills for problems they didn't create. And a number of institutions are frankly profiteering from this crisis, including parts of the insurance industry and others. I will trim premiums.
My constituents are still facing the cost of non-cladding fire safety problems, waking watchers and more. So when will the government accept the basic principle that cladding victims should not have to pay a penny to fix fire safety problems that are not of their making?
Well, actually, the government acted decisively in the immediate aftermath of Grenfell Tower. Expert opinion has evolved over time. We brought forward this very, very substantial intervention today. So we're working intensively and extensively to tackle the issue, and I hope today's intervention will be a permanent and lasting settlement.
Robert Jenrick.